Welcome to ShumKast.
Welcome to episode 2.
Yeah.
Today we'll be talking about live action adaptations and remakes. That goes for any form of media, whether that's movies, video games. I don't know if books do remakes.
What book was a remake?
I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
Why would they remake a book?
Yeah, exactly.
Into another book?
Books are stupid.
Yeah, they're
Books
for
are,
nerds.
Exactly, nerds.
No one likes nerds.
Yeah, fucking nerds.
Honestly.
But yeah, we're going to do remakes, reboots, and adaptations.
That's right.
So, kick it off.
So as you can see here on our lovely table, we have a bunch of nerdy stuff, fuck nerds. So we have our boy Leon Kennedy from the Resi 2 remake, hot as hell. We have Pyramid Head from the Silent Hill 2 remake, a lot of 2s here. We have Sephiroth, his game was remade. And then we have Transformers, it's like a reboot. We'll do well, it's kind of funny. Transformers is in a weird space. First it's like an adaptation when you took the first Michael Bay, but then there was the reboot when they did Bumblebee. Yeah.
So Bumblebee was a soft reboot, which
it still had Michael Bay in it though.
But he only produced it, he didn't direct.
That's true. Still had explosions.
Exactly. And then Ghostbusters, which had both it had a remake and I don't know if you want to call it a reboot, or I guess it's more of a sequel than a reboot.
They did try to do the women team.
Yes, and that was and that's what the remake.
Yeah,
and it failed.
Yeah,
spectacularly because instead of embracing the original, they decided we're going to shit all over the original and say that this one's better because it's women.
Yeah,
I love women.
But
I love all the actresses that were in the movie, but that movie sucked.
I think if they had proper character development, it would have been a good movie.
Or if they just properly acknowledged the first 2 films and said, hey, these were great. We love these films.
Yes.
And we're just doing our own spin.
Yeah.
Instead, they decided to go the opposite direction and say, women good, men bad.
It all boils down to respect.
Exactly.
Respect each other no matter who they are. But yeah, we have a bunch of these. They've all been rebooted some way, shape, or form. So I guess we could start on the gaming side of things, since we have a nice balance of movies and games. But the most recent remake that came out for games that I know of is not Dark Souls, Elder Scrolls.
Yeah, Oblivion.
Yeah, I haven't played it.
No, that's the most recent remake.
Yeah.
I've started playing it. It's good. I mean, it looks pretty. I mean, but it didn't really hold my attention because there's so much other stuff that came out because Expedition 33 came out, and I'm just like...
It's in a pretty wonky release date with all the games.
Yeah, it came out against Expedition 33, which is like, okay, do I play this old game that looks pretty, or do I play this brand new game that was made by a small studio from former Ubisoft developers and so forth? That's just freaking amazing.
And then Doom 3 came out too.
And then Doom 3 or Doom Dark Ages.
Yeah, so May's been a pretty big hit for games so far, and it's only gonna get better, I think. But yeah, that was the most recent remake that I know of. And then as far as I remember, Silent Hill 2 remake was the other most recent. I don't know what came before Elder Scrolls remake.
Yeah, that you know better than what I've Ninja Gaiden 2.
Ninja Gaiden 2 Black. That's a remake. That was a shadow drop. Was not expecting that. When I first saw the trailer for it, I was like, oh crap, they remade my favorite game. And it's free on Game Pass. We'd love to see that.
Yep. As well as Expedition 33.
That's right.
Which isn't a remake, but Doom Dark Ages is not that's a sequel.
This is not a Game Pass advertisement.
Yeah, it's not. Just when we start talking about consoles and stuff.
No, we'll get there.
We will get there.
Don't you
believe
worry.
me. I have first-hand experience from this, not from just being a gamer, but also being on the development side.
He knows more than I do.
My PlayStation 5 is a glorified paperweight, but we'll get to that later. But yeah, so I mean, to the other side of the aisle, films, which is, I mean, I love video games. Don't get me wrong, but I don't know. Yeah, I guess film came first because video game. I didn't really start playing video games officially until around 1982 82, I think. 81, 82.
I think film just predates games
Yeah,
in general.
just a bit. Just a bit.
You know, the first game was just 2 bars and a ball.
Yeah, I didn't play that in the arcade because that was Pong, and I never saw a Pong machine. Like, the first, like, yeah, I know we're getting derailed here, but yeah, the first arcade game I ever played was Donkey Kong, and that was because my neighbor, my friend's dad, for some reason, I don't know what his friend did, never asked, but they had a Donkey Kong arcade machine in their garage.
What the heck?
Yeah, and this was like early 80s.
Damn.
So
It must have been like...
So this was like 81, 82. So that was the first arcade machine I ever played on. But like in terms of, you know, like Atari 2600, that was basically...
That was...
brick dots.
Yeah, right. Anyways, we'll get to that whole segment another time.
Back to movies. Remakes, adaptations. I mean, this is completely surface level, obviously. Hands down, my favorite remake of all time. And I hope a lot of you agree, especially those of you that are in my age group, you know, Gen X. The Thing. John Carpenter. Hands down, best remake.
Was not expecting that answer.
Why not?
I don't know.
What were you expecting?
Not The Thing.
Well, what were you expecting, though, if it was not The Thing?
Just not The Thing. I wasn't expecting anything else. That's just like a oddball curveball. I mean, The Thing's good. Don't get me wrong. It's good.
It's classic. I mean,
yeah.
You get to the end, and to this day, there's still arguments / discussions
There's a lot of theories
of who was the Thing at the end. Was it McCready or was it Giles?
There's a lot. It still sparks.
Yeah. Or was it neither of them? Or was it both?
Who knows? We'll never find out, probably. Because I don't think the director's going to disclose that because they want...
They've hinted. They've toyed around with it. I mean, even the actors have kind of like hinted, like, you know, oh, no, it was McCready. Oh, no, it was Giles.
But we'll never get an official answer.
Yeah, but, you know. Yeah, but, you know, that being said, The Thing, amazing practical visual effects.
Yeah.
Like, that still hold up to this day. They don't look... I mean, there may be one or two. They're like, they could have used a little CG love today, but outside of that, though, the movie's just so well done. The acting's really well, you know, you got Kurt Russell.
Yeah.
And, you know, that was like the beginning of his partnership with John Carpenter. After that, he went on to do Escape from New York.
Yeah, I mean,
Big Trouble in Little China.
The practical effects in there look a lot better than some of the new age MCU films.
Yeah. So. I mean, the movie I feel bad for, which was the second The Thing, which suffered from the problem with having the same name as the John Carpenter.
Yeah.
But the other problem it was that The Thing was not a reboot or a remake.
Was it a continuation?
It was a prequel.
Oh, prequel.
And a lot of people had the idea that, this is a remake of the original, or the John Carpenter's The Thing.
A remake of a remake?
Yeah, a remake of a remake, which it was not. And then because they thought it was a remake, they thought, they made McCready a woman. And it's like, which they did not.
Yeah.
So it was in that weird space where it bombed at the box office.
Yeah.
Critics hated it. Personally, I liked it. I enjoyed it.
Right.
The reason I enjoyed it is because the director went to great lengths to put a huge amount of Easter eggs.
So he showed like some love.
He showed love and respect to the original, or the Carpenter original.
Yeah.
And like all the little details that he made sure to capture in his version of like, that's how the axe was placed there when they went to the Swedish station after they shot the dude. That's like, okay, we know he's from the Swedish station, but why was he trying to kill this dog?
Yeah.
And I was like, wow. And it's like all the things that you saw in the Carpenter's The Thing from the 80s, they explained how it got to be that way in the prequel.
I think I've only watched the prequel once, so it's like kind of fuzzy in my mind.
Yeah.
But I think I know what I'm
if you're a fan of the original thing, or the John Carpenter's The Thing, you've never bothered to watch the Mary Elizabeth Winstead The Thing, I recommend you at least give it a watch. You might actually find yourself enjoying it. That being said, with Bumblebee,
yeah.
So if we're going with what we have on the table.
That's right.
I loved Bumblebee.
Bumblebee was a fantastic movie.
Bumblebee was everything I wanted the Transformers movie to be like. Like, you look at the character designs for the Transformers in this film.
They kept their comic and animated look back.
They were more true to the G1 aesthetic,
yeah,
than the Michael Bay Transformers that came out in the late aughts and early 10s.
Hot take, I don't like the Michael Bay design.
I hated the Michael Bay designs. I mean, I didn't mind the films, but the designs of the Transformers, or to use your generation's vernacular, it was dog water.
Yeah, I mean,
I understand some of the mindset behind the designs, because they wanted to make sure, like, I feel like they went a bit overkill. They went like above and beyond in terms of like, oh, we want to make sure all the pieces when they transform, they really exist. They occupy this physical space, and so when the transformations happen, that we're not doing any deformations, or we're not,
I just thought the faces look weird.
Yeah, I especially hated the face on Optimus Prime.
Yeah, did he have eyebrows?
If they had they had robotic eyebrows, which was also weird.
Weird.
I mean, obviously it was a way to show them emoting. My only thing I hate about both the Bumblebee and the entire Michael Bay Transformers run is the fact they did Bumblebee dirty. Why did he have to be voiceless for all 4 films? Like, he had a voice for a minute at the beginning of Bumblebee.
Yeah.
He had a voice for a brief second at the end of the first Transformers film. But after that, he was, I'm going to use the radio to talk.
Yeah, I don't know. They just made him quirky.
I mean, maybe it's because... So, Bumblebee was originally voiced by Casey Kasem in the original G1. Maybe they felt like they didn't want to find another voice because his voice was so iconic in, to Bumblebee. But
I mean, you could say that for everything else.
Yeah.
Like, remake-wise, like, their voices are attached to that character. But
I mean, what are they going to do if Peter Cullen passed away? They're going to make Optimus Prime have to speak the same way as Bumblebee? He's going to rip out his voice box?
Yeah, exactly.
But outside of the Bumblebee debacle, which, like I said, that's the only thing that rubs me really wrong on that. There are other things. Like, the second Transformers film was just awfully bad. Filled with racial stereotypes.
Oh, dang. Yeah, I love that.
And, yeah. But, pushing those things aside, I did enjoy the Transformers films. I especially enjoyed Bumblebee just because they went back to the original G1 aesthetic.
Yeah, they did,
and all the characters. Like, yep, when I saw Optimus Prime,
he looked like Optimus.
When he transformed into the truck, he was a proper Peterbilt truck. That's with that boxy shape, not the long-nosed truck.
Yeah.
And, living in the Bay Area was really cool seeing Optimus Prime drive across the Golden Gate Bridge.
That's right, they did that.
They did do that. It was a huge thing. And they were like, Optimus Prime is driving across the Golden Gate Bridge.
I forgot they did that.
Yeah. So... And then, if we go to Ghostbusters, Ghostbusters is one of those things, like, we go back to our first episode. I didn't bring any of the Ghostbusters stuff out because I'm going to save it. I guess I'm saving it for this episode.
That's right.
But it's another one of those things that's, like, really near and dear to my heart. I like the original 1984 Ghostbusters. I must have watched on VHS hundreds of times. Easily.
VHS, huh?
Yeah, VHS, because that's all we had to watch movies on at home. So after watching the movie, you had to rewind it just to watch it again.
Sounds like fun.
Oh yeah, it's about as fun as a kick in the teeth.
Didn't have to deal with that, luckily. VHS. I mean, like earlier, like when I was a toddler, but I didn't actually.
Even when you were a toddler, you didn't deal with VHS. I never. When you were young, when you were a baby, I was already on DVD.
Damn. Okay.
I didn't buy any VHS tapes anymore. I was actually trying to transfer anything I had on VHS onto DVD, like the archive stuff that I wasn't like a lot of my old Japanese shows I used to watch when I was living in Japan.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you don't know the struggle. So yeah, with Ghostbusters, when they announced a new film, what was that, like 2014, 2015, something
new
like
film? That. Which one?
The all female.
Oh, that was 2016.
Oh, was it 16?
I think it was 16.
Damn. Okay. So anyways, when they announced that a new Ghostbusters, I was really excited. I was stoked, and there's like, they announced the cast. I was fine with the cast. It's like, I love Kate McKinnon.
Yeah.
Kristen Wiig, like all, like the women they casted for the film.
I think the cast wasn't the problem.
The cast wasn't a problem. It was the story.
It was just
the story. It was the story, but it was you didn't know what the story was really going to be until you watched the film.
Yeah.
The bigger issue was the way it was played off during the marketing. And they decided to go with the girl power angle. And, if you don't like this film, then you're obviously a sexist. You're against female. Like, no, that's not the problem. It's just the way you're pushing it. It's like...
Yeah. I mean, if you have to push that idea in front of me, it's a bad movie. Then.
Yeah, I mean... I'll put this out for anything that's come out lately. It's like, I'm not a big fan of like gender swapping, race swapping. Like, I'm all for having a quote unquote diverse cast, but make it make sense.
Make it their own character.
Make it their own character.
Not like
but not just that. Write them to be a good character. Not write them to like, oh, I'm a super powerful character just because I'm a woman, or I'm this and this and this because I'm trans. Like, no. You should be this, and this, and you just happen to be a woman, or you happen to be trans. That's you
gotta work for it.
Exactly.
I mean, like development.
Yeah, I mean, like when we're talking about in these lines, like if you want a master class on how to have a diverse cast in both, gender, in both, like everything, race. And it's sad that this show got canceled all because of the writer's strike.
Dang.
Amazon had greenlit a second season. And during the writer's strike, I guess they just lost all the actors, so they ended up having to cancel the show. Was Peripheral. Peripheral had everything. You had a strong female lead. You had a trans actress who did an amazing job as the lead detective. She was actually one of my favorite characters. And... they were all good because they were written so well. They were believable.
Yeah.
And I was like, yes, this makes sense. I love this show. But back to our topic at hand, reboots and remakes.
Yeah.
The Ghostbusters reboot was just bad.
Yeah, the jokes weren't funny.
It wasn't funny, but, it's like the other thing, too, is like, why couldn't... and I'm blanking on the black woman's name. She's really funny, but again, you're playing the stereotypes. Why couldn't she have been one of the scientists? Why did she have to be the subway worker?
Yeah,
it's like I'm sorry, I think it's like Leslie.
I wouldn't know.
Yeah, I can't remember her name, but at any rate, it's like why couldn't they have all been scientists? Why did she have to be? They kind of borrowed from the original Ghostbusters formula in the sense that you had Dan Aykroyd, Harold Ramis, and Bill Murray as the scientists, and then you had the guy off the street, that had no scientific background, as the black guy, and we're like, okay. I mean, back in the 80s, it's like whatever.
Interesting choice,
but you take it to modern times, and you're like. Why didn't you had the opportunity to mix it up?
Yeah.
And, it's like missed opportunity. It's kind of like, I kind of feel the same way about the sequels with Star Wars with Finn.
Yeah, they kind of...
I felt like they did his character dirty.
I feel like they could have done more with Finn, but they...
It's like my problem with J.J. Abrams in general. He's great at starting stuff.
Yeah.
He has great ideas at starting stuff, but when it comes to finalizing and executing, J.J. Abrams sucks at that. Yeah. He's a great ideas guy, and he knows how to shoot stuff. Like, he knows his angles and stuff like that. He knows his technical, but he's horrible as like a full storyteller.
I really thought they would make Finn learn the way of the Jedi, just from the trailers.
Like, exactly. Well, it's like, I mean, it also didn't help that they didn't really have a full story, because when Last Jedi came out, Rian Johnson just shit all over it, and so, you know what, I'm gonna do my own thing.
Yeah.
And that's when I think where Finn kind of got sidelined and his character development just went.
Yeah. So
I was really excited for Finn's story arc. I mean, I liked Rey as well, but that was the other thing too. Is Rey was like out of the box OP.
Yeah, and she just so happened to be a Palpatine for.
Until when we get to the last film. Yeah. Spoiler, if you hadn't watched it.
It's been almost 10 years since that movie came out. In 4 years, it'll be 10 years.
Just since Rise of Skywalker?
Yeah, 2019.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
I can't believe that's 6 years now. Damn.
Yeah, so somehow Palpatine returned.
But back to Ghostbusters. So when the movie came out, in the theater, I just felt like I didn't want to watch it. Yeah. And it was probably not like till a year or two after it came out on home release that I was like, fine. It's like, all right, I'll watch it, just to say I watched it and give it its fair shot before. It's like, I don't want to shit on something without having viewed the content.
Yeah.
So it's like, I didn't want to come out like, oh, this sucks. That's because it's like, well, you didn't watch it. And I'm like, no, I watched the film, and it's just bad.
Yeah.
I mean, there are a couple moments where I laughed, but overall, I've never found it. Like, I love movies, and I will rewatch movies.
Yeah.
Like, you can ask my son. We have a massive movie collection.
Yeah.
And it's continually growing.
Oh yeah.
But this movie's not where I'm like, it's like, you know what? I feel like watching that Ghostbusters.
It's a one and done.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, I watched it. It sucked. Which was sad because, like, some of the visual effects were really well done, and even the character designs for the ghosts were really cool.
Mm-hmm.
But the movie sucked.
Yeah.
I mean, it had a good cast.
Can't save the plot.
Yep. But then
the other reboot, or
the
not reboot.
You could call it a soft reboot because we sadly lost Harold Ramis.
Yeah. Due
to his passing. But in the early 2020s, we got Afterlife.
Mm-hmm.
Which
and that was a really good Ghostbusters
it was a
film.
really good Ghostbusters. Again, you had a little girl that took center stage,
mm-hmm.
and she rocked it. I mean, she was funny.
Kudos to that actress. Really, really well done.
And bonus fact, she was when I first saw her was in the Conjuring series.
She was in Conjuring?
She wasn't in Conjuring, but she was in the side stories. The Annabelle Comes Home.
Is it the same girl? The daughter?
The daughter. That was her.
Wow.
And another fun fact, she sang the song for the credits of the Ghostbusters Afterlife.
Oh, yeah, I know she does like musicals and music shit stuff. So she's really talented.
What made Afterlife so good was that it was a return to form. It focused on new characters
while also honoring
the old films. Exactly. And I'm not gonna lie, I had a tear come out when we saw Harold Ramis interact at the end of the movie, because
seeing the old cast in general was pretty shocking.
Seeing the old cast together was great, but when I was a kid, Egon was my favorite Ghostbuster.
Yeah.
Like the order of Ghostbusters was Egon, Ray, Peter. Unfortunately, Winston was the last, but
Damn.
Winston was generic, at least in the original Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
It was great what they did with him in Afterlife, where he took they gave him character growth within the universe, which was really cool. So he's now the successful one. He's rich.
They finally threw him a bone.
Yeah, he's not just rich, he's like mega rich.
Yeah.
So it's like they didn't say like, oh yeah, after the Ghostbusters broke up, he went back to working regular construction jobs.
That would have sucked.
Yeah, he's like, nah, I think I have a knack for something, and I'm gonna do it. And that's great. You see, like there's growth on the whole team outside of it. I mean, it sucks for Egon, where they thought he was just the crazy dirt farmer.
Yeah.
But it was great how they tied it all together. And then you had Frozen Empire after that.
Heard that movie was kind of like, eh.
It was good, but it wasn't as good as Afterlife. And it's like, considering it's like kind of like a new launch for the series, I would say it's the sophomore slump.
Mm-hmm.
But the team was growing, all the characters were pushing forward, and it's like it's a new team.
Yeah. With
the old crew kind of like more serving as a cheerleading squad.
I see. Yeah.
In terms of like they're there for support and advice, saying like, oh, we saw this, we did this, but we're ready to pass the torch. We're a little too old to do this now.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I never watched it, but maybe I will someday. Probably will.
Yeah.
But
and then so I started watching the movie I swore I would never watch, but I figured for this I'll start to watch it, just like for the case I said about the female Ghostbusters film. So I can say I watched it, I gave it a chance, but for a live action adaptation, Ghost in the Shell sucked.
Ghost in the Shell.
Yeah.
The
Scarlett Johansson. Yeah.
Dang.
And
I'm not surprised.
I saw, it's like, okay, they tried to explain why they tried to justify why they made it Scarlett Johansson. And this is not a knock against her.
She's a really talented actress.
She's a very talented actress.
Marriage Life was really good. With Adam Driver.
Mm-hmm. Seen a lot of her films, and, I enjoy watching her as an actress, but Ghost in the Shell was not one of those films. And she's not the reason for it. I mean, her casting was part of the reason why I didn't want to watch it. It's like, why couldn't they cast a Japanese actress to play Motoko Kusanagi? And they changed the story, so she's like basically a refugee.
Yeah.
And who was Japanese.
I mean, they could have casted the actress that plays
talking about Pacific Rim? Rinko Kikuchi?
No. The actress that plays, what was her name in The Boys? Kimiko or something?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. But the studio wanted a bankable, like a known bankable name.
Yeah.
And that's how we got Scarlett Johansson. That being said, the Ghost in the Shell, it just, they didn't make it their own thing. Like when John Carpenter did his thing, his version of the thing, he made it as his own. Like he made his mark on that film. It's like wrote the story and tailored it in such a way that it felt fresh, it felt new. And I'm not saying Ghost in the Shell had to feel fresh and feel new, but if you ever watched the 1995 Ghost in the Shell, or 96, it came out in 95, 96. But if you ever watched Mamoru Oshii's Ghost in the Shell, it's beautiful. Like the animation, the art, and the story is just really well done, and it's more on an intellectual level. It's like it was weird. Like when the movie first came out, I was torn on it because I was expecting to see like this really action-packed, like basically on the levels like The Matrix.
Oh, I see.
But instead, what we got was something that was a slow burn.
Yeah.
And Mamoru Oshii had kind of made a reputation for himself, like when he started doing films, starting with the Pat Labor films, of putting ideas and thoughts out there to make you really think. And there's a lot of like pauses in the film where you're just looking at the environments. Yeah. And so it's like it really pulls you into that world and you feel grounded in it. Where the adaptation, for the live action adaptation, it felt like it didn't have a soul. It's like the movie's called Ghost in the Shell, but this film had no ghost.
Interesting.
It, like the visuals, while they look good, they felt overdone. Like if I kind of felt like it took me out of the story. Like, when they're walking through, like if you compare walking through the streets of Hong Kong in the anime compared to the live action, the anime still try to keep things grounded. While it's the future, if it didn't feel like it was over the top. This film felt like it was like, you look at the environments, it was like Blade Runner on steroids. Like if you look Blade Runner 2049.
Yeah. So
it was like way overdone with the quote unquote like holographic advertising and billboards and stuff like that. The store marquees, whereas opposed to, if you look at Denis Villeneuve's Blade Runner 2049, when they did their cities, while they did have projections and stuff like that in the cities, it was better. It looked integrated. It looked like it was part of the city, as opposed to Ghost in the Shell, where it just felt tacked on.
Yeah.
Like, oh, we're just gonna put this in here because this, we're going for that cyberpunk aesthetic, and I feel like they went a little too far. Like, even look at the Cyberpunk 2077. And you see like holographic projections in the game, but they don't overdo it.
They definitely stick with like more of the realism stuff too.
Yeah, it felt grounded.
Yeah,
like you said, okay, this feels right.
Yeah.
Ghost in the Shell's like, okay, we're gonna borrow the cityscape from Akira, and then blend it in with the world of Ghost in the Shell, and it fell short. It just they tried to do it's one of those things where less is more.
Yeah.
And I think the other problem too is like they took like several different storylines from standalone complex and bits and pieces from the Ghost in the Shell film, and instead of just making their own story.
I see.
So it's like if you watch Ghost in the Shell and take it, like, say it's not in the Ghost in the Shell universe, it's just like kind of like a side place. I guess the film's okay, but it's like it's like if you're thinking, oh, it's a cyberpunk style film, then it's like, yeah, that's all right. But if you're saying like this is based on the source material, it's bad, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And then it's like, and if we take we go to the other route of adaptations where you're going from like Disney with their live action adaptations of their old cartoons.
They're all bad.
Majority of them are bad. There were a couple that were not bad. Jungle Book was good.
Yeah.
Jungle Book was actually good. But like the amount of good compared to bad, the bad list way outweighs the good list.
Yeah, it's pretty. Yeah. And, recently Lilo and Stitch came out.
Lilo and Stitch, I kind of have faith in it, actually. Like, at least from the trailers.
Oh, I've seen reviews already. It's pretty bad.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, that sucks. Like, the trailer's like, okay, it looks like they're staying faithful to the original cartoon. I mean, I think with the Disney live action adaptations, why don't you just stick with the original story? Why do you have to change it? Like, there's a reason why these animations are so beloved and still hold, like people still watch them today.
Yeah.
Like, you don't need to reinvent the wheel here. Just make them real people.
Yeah, exactly.
Make it look real. But I just wish Disney would go back to doing what they were known for, animation.
Yeah, I mean they still do But
like what? What was the most recent thing they did for animation? And don't include Pixar.
they did. Oh wait, no, it was Elemental's Pixar.
That was Pixar.
They're doing one now. I don't think it's Pixar. There's this kid that gets abducted by aliens.
I think that's Pixar.
Is it Pixar?
It might be. I think it is.
I feel like it's not Pixar.
I mean, I heard there's a Zootopia 2.
Yeah, that's coming out later this year.
But, you know, I mean, Disney was known for making good live action films back in the day.
Yeah.
It's been a while. I mean, I think the last original, but I guess it was a remake based off an original property that was Freaky Friday.
Freaky Friday.
Oh yeah, and then they did the Herbies, but those were awful.
Yeah.
But Freaky Friday was actually good with Lindsay Lohan and Jamie Lee Curtis.
But yeah, I'm trying to think. Disney animations. I know there's one. That came out, but I can't think of the name, or that's coming out. Besides Zootopia 2, which I'm kind of excited for. I liked the first Zootopia. I thought the first one's pretty good. I thought the twist at the end was kind of stupid.
Yeah,
but
I mean, honestly, but you know, within the realms of our topic for this episode, I feel like remakes kind of needs to die.
I think remakes can be good.
They can be, but they tend not to be. It's like a good example is like you look at they did back in the I want to say late 90s, maybe early 2000s. I believe it was late 90s, but it was with Vince Vaughn. They did a remake of Psycho.
Oh.
And instead of making a new version of Psycho, they basically did almost a shot for shot remake just with a new cast.
Jesus.
So it's like, why bother? And then
I mean, so far the other Stephen King remakes are pretty good.
What Stephen
like It and
well, I mean the original It, which was the TV, was not bad.
It wasn't bad, but
it was good. I mean,
but what I'm saying, even the other remakes for Stephen King were also good too.
I'm trying to think what else
was Pet Sematary.
I think the original Pet Sematary is better than the remake.
I liked some of the visuals in the remake.
Like the visuals were interesting in the remake, but in terms of overall story, I think the original held up a lot better.
I'm trying to think what other.
But in terms of adaptations for Stephen King, one of the best was The Mist.
The Mist was good.
And it's kind of funny. Frank Darabont went where Stephen King wouldn't go, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah, I remember they talked about that.
Yeah, with basically him killing everybody in the car.
Yeah.
I was just like, if you've never watched The Mist and you love horror, I highly recommend giving it a watch. But the end is brutal.
It's definitely a fucked up ending.
It definitely a fucked up ending. So it's a really tight line because you have, especially with remakes, it's like you have an established fan base.
Yeah.
And the smallest discrepancy is gonna it's kind of like a loose thread.
Yeah.
People are gonna start pulling at it, and then next thing you know, the whole thing just unravels.
I think remakes are good for video games, especially.
For video games, I agree.
But
just, if it's just if it's in the context like we're updating the visuals.
Yeah, I mean, the remakes here, they've been pretty good, except for 3. 3 was kind of compared to the other ones for Resident Evil. But I don't think they should remake 5 because it's still, the graphics and the gameplay still holds up today. It's still relatively similar to the traditional RE style that we have right now, like the third person over the shoulder aiming and stuff, and the inventory is still pretty much the same.
See, I think we should remake 5 because it will benefit in the sense that you could actually get more enemies on screen.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at the number of enemies you got on screen with RE4 compared to the original.
Yeah. It's going to be a wild ride to remake 5 with the whole controversy that they had back in the day for doing that.
Yeah, but the controversy was a bit nonsense. It's like, oh, you're killing a bunch of black people. It's like, okay, well, RE4, you're killing a bunch of white people.
Yeah.
So it's like...
You're killing a bunch of Spaniards.
But, that's my point, though. You're killing a bunch of people, and it's not like he's going out of the way, like, oh, you're black, you're dead.
Yeah.
It's like, they're all infected. And
I'm
going to say it, she was freaking hot.
I'm just wondering how today's audience is going to react to, like, the trailer of Resi 5.
Yeah, no, I don't care about today's audience.
It's just fun to see sometimes.
Yeah.
But I do like it when remakes add, like, a little, like, of their own gimmick and not just, like, carbon paste of their original that they're trying to remake.
Yeah, I
like,
mean...
4 added a parry system. That was really cool. The knife combat in that game was a lot of fun. Silent Hill 2 remake didn't really add much.
Mm-hmm.
The only difference about Silent Hill 2 remake was the camera, I feel like. And like some of the story elements. But mainly the camera. I feel like if they kept the traditional camera for Silent Hill 2, at least in certain segments, it'd be a lot scarier. But it was just a traditional third-person camera. So that was kind of a bummer. And
yeah, it's fine. It's like, you brought up Final Fantasy. I loved Final Fantasy, and I tried playing Remake. I don't like the combo system, the combat system. It's
definitely a lot different than the original.
Yeah, it's like, I think it's just because, like, having played the original when it first came out, it's just, I'm still tied to that old turn-based combat system.
Yeah.
And it's like, I mean, the new system looks beautiful, but it's like, my head's still trapped in the old turn-based combat.
I never finished 7 Remake. Game's long. But the combat, for me, is pretty fun.
Yeah.
I like it.
No, and like, I'm not knocking it's just, it was hard for me to, like, really connect, or not connect, but, like, get used to it, because I was, like, so trapped in my head with the old combat system.
Yeah.
Which is weird, because, like, when I played the remakes of Resident Evil, I had no problems with the changes and the adjustments they made.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't as much a departure compared to Final Fantasy, which was a complete departure from its original combat system.
2 and 3 were a pretty big departure, though. No more like separate scenes and stuff for the camera. No more awkward camera angles.
But the thing is, I got used to that playing the later editions of Resident Evil, like 5 and 6, and
Oh yeah, that's when they started.
They got rid of the fixed camera angle, so like when I went back to playing 2 and 3 with the remake, it didn't bother me, because it's like, all right, I got used to it with it in the franchise. But with Final Fantasy, as long as I'd always played it, was always turn based. Like any of the newer ones, I never bothered to play, because I lost interest in JRPGs. It's not that I didn't like them anymore. It's just
they were just long.
It's a time investment. It's like Resident Evil, I could pick up, play for an hour, and feel like, okay, I got a good amount of progress. But with Final Fantasy, it's a bit of a grind.
Yeah, Resi's like 10 hours for the story, and that's it. So it's pretty short.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's all I got. How about you? You feel good?
I think we're good.
Yeah. It's like, this is definitely our longest episode yet.
That is.
It's only our second episode.
That's a crazy time.
Yep. So thanks for joining us. I hope you enjoyed our conversation.
Yes.
Make sure to like, subscribe, and ring of that bell.
Hit the bell, please.
Multiple times. I don't care.
He's about to kick me out. Rent is due.
Yeah, rent is due. All right. Thanks.
All right.
Bye.
Later.